Welcome everybody to today's webinar. This is a little different for us. We are doing a panel discussion. I am so fortunate to have been able to, or to be able to know these women and work with them and have them all have a similar passion for helping up and coming businesses and working with me to launch our new membership, which is Indie Beauty membership. So the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals now has a new level of membership, which is the Indie Beauty level. And what part of that includes is counsel from these great experts. So I really wanted to get them on today, introduce them to you guys, and then let them give you some insights and let you ask some questions. So unlike usual, I actually wrote something down. I know that those of y'all who've done webinars with me know that's not the norm. So I'll begin with Angela, who is a hair scientist, inventor, and former assistant vice president of ethnic research and innovation at L'Oreal USA. She holds 20 patents and has been recognized in several publications for her innovation contribution to hair research. Anybody who just that just ran over your head, this woman has 20 patents. I don't know anyone else with one that I personally know. I do know some people in our communities with patents, but I do not know anyone personally. And to have worked with L'Oreal and gotten 20 patents is incredible. So we're so happy to have her on our team. Her expertise in this arena is product development, and she will be talking to us a bit about that. We have Margaret Haven, who a lot of you guys may be familiar with if you're familiar with us. She's been in the industry for some time. I think it might be rude, but she's been in there so long, it might be rude to say how long she's been in the industry. But she has been in the industry for quite some time. She has formulated several multi-million-dollar products. She also has worked with, she was on the team for Soft and Free Curl, M&M products. She made formulated products, including Soft and Free Curl Activator, the African Natural line, African Best Initials line, products from there, as well as products in AAA, Shea Butter, and Jamaican Mango and Lime lines. And so we're talking formulations. She's been on the team for No Eye Relaxer for Carlson Products as well, and several other beauty products as well that you guys are familiar with. So super excited that she's part of this team. Her specialty in this arena is manufacturing consulting. So for those of you guys who are making your own products, you all need to know how to scale up. You guys need to know how to just, pitfalls, how to make sure that you're meeting regulations. This is the expert for you. This is who you need to talk to. We have Shawn K. Tollerson, is an award-winning marketer and C-suite executive who rose through the ranks of beauty powerhouses like L'Oreal, Revlon, Namaste, which is ORS, Saucy & Carlson, Cream of Nature. Today, she's CEO of her own company, Carolina Girl & Company. It's a marketing consulting business. She's been recognized, and she's an Ebony Magazine Power 100 honoree, a Vanguard Beauty Award recipient, and it's been featured in Who's Who section of leading beauty publications. Extraordinary in many ways, including just the fact that she's been at the C-suite level at such major companies. For us to be able to have her as an advisor and get some inside information and advice is incredible. So really appreciate that. We have attorney Latoicha Andino-Aquino, who is an expert in intellectual property law. Many of you all caught her webinar earlier this year. She specializes in trademarks, copyrights, and licensing issues. She has represented universities, professional athletes, small businesses, in protecting and defending their intellectual property. Her expertise led her to become a legal contributor to CNBC.com, Black Enterprise, and Black Web 2.0, where she provides weekly articles addressing various legal issues in new media and the internet. She's also been featured in Atlanta Tribune, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, as well as the 2006-2007 editions of Who's Who in Black America. And then Desarie, again, someone who you guys, if you're familiar with us, you should be familiar with Desarie. She is our accounting go-to guru. She has been working with us for several years now. She is a certified public accountant, an IRS enrolled agent, a QuickBooks Online Pro advisor. She also is a licensed cosmetologist and former salon owner, which makes her especially uniquely qualified for working with us in the beauty industry. And she uses her unique blend of professional experiences to provide salon professionals with accounting advice as the host of Profit and Beauty podcast as well. So there's so much more to these women, but I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted some of the some things that were really significant so that you guys will understand who these women are and make sure that you take advantage of this time that you have to speak with them. The first thing I want to do is talk to each one of you guys individually about what are some of the challenges, common challenges that people come to you with. And I'll start with Angela.
And some of the common challenges when it comes to product development is really defining the product that they're interested in developing. A lot of time they know the end result and they know, of course, the regimen in which they're currently using. But of course, when you're launching your own product line, you want that point of difference. And so they come open for ideas to kind of be able to design what is going to work best for them and their clients. And when we're speaking of their clients, it's more so specifically of their clients' hair types.
So the trouble is that they have a general idea of what they want, but they don't know the specifics, or?
They have an idea of what they want, but as you will see with several marketing insights, and this is something that Shawn would be best suited to answer, people are still searching for that ideal product. That's why you have so many, I don't want to say turnover, but that's why you have so many uses of different products, because no one has still found their ideal product. So instead, they will use several products to achieve their end goal or the end result. So when especially a stylist or a trichologist come, they know the end result they want. The challenge is designing that product to get to the end result, because it really doesn't exist for them in one product. And in some instances, it will not be, because we're looking at various hair textures and hair types. But that is the advice that they're seeking, with their expertise coming in with product application and my expertise with product development, and with both of our understanding of hair types. We start at that point and find our way to a product to create.
Well, good. I'm glad the common problem is a problem that you also have a solution to, which is always nice.
Yes.
So yeah, helping people. So you help people they come with an end goal in mind, and you help them develop a product that will get them there, or help guide them in that direction.
Yes, help guide them in that direction, and help with the understanding there may not be the one product for everything that they want to do. and also understanding of the results that they're discussing did not come from the one product. It came from the product regimen.
Got you. That makes perfect sense. I hope that makes sense to everybody who's listening. Um, okay, and I'm gonna skip around in fields since you all are in different fields. So I'm gonna jump down to Latoicha. Um, hey, Latoicha. So yeah, so when people are coming to you, especially when they're starting out, what are some of the common challenges that they face or that you face in trying to help them?
The most common challenge I find is that, when they're starting a business, they haven't considered their intellectual property. So meaning like a brand name, a logo, I mean, whatever your, marketing identity is going to be. And so what they'll do, they'll go ahead and, incorporate with the state, get marketing materials, get a website set up. And then maybe, sometime later they find out, via an infringement letter or a cease and desist, like, hey, you can't use this name because this name has already been taken. It's been used by someone else. And so I always try to tell clients is that when you're thinking about starting a business, when you're considering your business plan, do your due diligence on your branding first, because you don't want to start something and then you spend all these dollars and then you have to start over.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that is pretty common.
And that goes all the way down to individual. So I may have my company brand, but that goes down to even like if I have a product,
right?
Each individual product, because
exactly.
I still have that.
Because if you have like a company brand, but then you have products that have different names, and logos and identities, then you need to consider those also, because those will be separate trademarks. Yeah.
Okay. No,
and also
that's
when
good.
You're considering, I'm sorry, Elaine, I wanted to make this point. So when you're considering a brand name, just try to think of something that's truly unique and made up, because those are the strongest trademarks in brand names. So when you go to actually protect it, via the USPTO or whatever, you will, most likely get that name approved as opposed to something that's similar to something else.
Okay. So we're talking a unique brand, unique products.
Yeah.
As Angela said, also just
yeah.
in, products that you might have to have a group of products to accomplish what you're trying to have,
right.
As well. And so that kind of leads me to Shawn, and I wanted to ask you, what are some of the what are some common issues that people have when they are trying to, I guess, develop their brand? I'll start with develop their brand.
We're all really echoing the same point, because my first point, and it's going to sound kind of cliche, but it's like you need to stop and think about it before you start spending money, spending time, spending resources. You got to stop. I say stop before you start. Mm-hmm. You have to sit back and think. And I'm going to just use myself as an example. I came from corporate America and had a lot of resources. And when I started my service company, I had to sit back and think, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What's the message I want to convey? What's the name I want to have? And it's still not all done like that, but it's still a matter of stopping for a minute and mm-hmm. thinking about the what, the who, the why, because everybody, and even this group here, if you are the center of this, you have to communicate to each part what you want, what you need, or at least what you think you want and need. And then you can utilize experts to help guide you, from their experience, but it is definitely trying to define those for yourself, what to stop and think about what you want, who, the what, the why, before you start spending resources, money, and everything else. And big companies make this mistake as well. Mm-hmm. It's not just because you're an entrepreneur, you can be wildly successful. You really can. Big companies make the same mistake. They spend a lot of money solving the wrong problem.
Mhm.
Trust me. I've seen it, not under my watch, but but I have seen that happen, and so that's what I would say as well.
Okay. And so let's get into accounting and let's just get into accounting. I won't even guide you on what part of accounting, 'cause but in accounting, what is some of the big pitfalls or common errors that you see?
Well, I would say usually as your accountant, that is normally the first person that you want to see, but it's normally the last person that you wind up seeing. So what happens with me is when I have clients or customers come to me, the issues that they have occurred because of the fact that they didn't come to me sooner. So usually when you start a business, the most important thing that you're going to do is to choose your entity type. It's the most important thing because that is what is going to pretty much guide you through the rest of your business. So based on the entity type that you choose, everything else is going to be based on that. For example, how you maintain your books is going to be based on your entity type. As manufacturers, you might be looking for investors. If you're going to be looking for investors, it's extremely important that you pick the right entity type because most investors would prefer to see a business that is a C corporation only because there's a separation between you and the actual business. So if you're looking for investors, that's important because all other entity types, a lot of times your information flows through to your personal. So that's extremely important, okay, because you may lose the ability to get investors because of your corporate type. Even as an S corporation, that has its problems because you can only have a certain number of investors, okay? You can only have a certain type of investors. You can't have foreign investors with an S Corp. So you really, really want to think about that in the beginning. When you're creating your plan, you want to know where are your sources of income going to, rather your sources of investments going to come from? Are they coming from outside the United States? Are they coming from within the United States? Are they coming from business types? Are they coming from individuals? So when you think about all of that, then you can pick the proper entity type. Not only that, your entity type is going to also determine your tax obligation, okay? So in the beginning, when you're planning your business, these are the things that you want to start to lay out, okay? What are my tax obligations going to be? You have to understand them. If I create this entity type, what type of workers am I going to have? Are they going to be contractors? Are they going to be employees? You need to know that because there is a calculation that you may have to make if you decide to work with employees. And as you know, manufacturers, if you're trying to build a manufacturing type business, then more than likely, well, not more than likely, the people that work for you are going to be employees. So you want to do the math in the beginning so you can understand what is this going to cost me, okay? Do I need to actually start this now because of my requirements? Do I have enough finances to actually get started? Not only that, your business account, what type of accounts are you going to use? Can you commingle funds? It's important that you have a business account. It's important that you separate it. But the one question that you have, depending on your entity type, are you required by law to have a separate bank account? Because if you are, that's another set of issues you need to think about. In addition to that, you also want to know, let's see what else. So in addition to that, you also want to understand the type of insurance you need because your entity type is going to determine the type of insurance you need. Do I need umbrella insurance? Do I need, what do I need to protect myself? And this is something that Latoicha could probably speak on because me as an accountant, I can tell you all of the tax consequences of your choices. But you would need to go to an attorney when you're looking at the legalities of the business type you choose, because when you choose a particular business type, there is a legal consequence. Okay, I can't give you legal advice because I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on Zoom either. So someone like Latoicha, she's the type of person that you go to say, okay, if I choose this entity type, what is my exposure? And okay, if this is my exposure, what kind of insurance do I need to cover the gap? So there's so many things that you need to know. So before you start a business, and it doesn't matter what type of business, it doesn't matter the size of the business, you always want to start out by speaking with a knowledgeable accountant, CPA, who can guide you through your business financial, your business finances from beginning to end. So you understand everything that's required of you. Now, whether or not you do it is a totally different story. But the fact that you're supposed to do it, so that way if you don't do it, when the hammer comes down, you're not surprised. You're like, okay, well, I knew I was supposed to do it, I just didn't. So now let me go ahead and correct my my course from this point forward. So that's pretty much it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that was it.
So, Margaret, I want to, yeah. So what are some of the challenges that, and I'll be specific with you. What are some of the challenges that people have when they're producing their own product? What are some of the challenges you see there that they have?
Okay, you want me to answer that one before I answer the first one? Answer this one? Okay.
Go ahead, answer the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah, let me answer that because that's a pet peeve of mine, and people who know me know that. I said, a lot of people say, well, I need money. No, I need this. And you need an idea. You need to consider, and this is why I got into a lot of arguments with, is this really a hobby or is this a business? And if it's a business, it's an extension of your business, or it's something that you feel that you want to jump in because you heard about these people making this type of money. If you give me money first, I'm going down to the islands, I'm gonna take a vacation and think about it. I'm just gonna be real. But you really have to go and plan and say, what I want to do. Even I, who have been in this business for umpteen years, my best thing was that I knew a lot. My worst thing was I knew a lot. I still didn't even know what line to produce, what was the needs out there. Remember that you are not basically the customer. The customer, you may not be the customer. People think they're the customer. No, somebody else is the customer. So now you got to make the item and gear it towards them. So that's the first thing I said. And then once you get that plan and idea behind the marketing strategy, then you build it with the foundation, with the legal and the business strategy, then come and figure out exactly what it is you want. You have an idea. Some people don't have an idea what it really takes to run a business, and a sacrifice. And like you have often said, generally, you said, if you haven't really done retailing, what all of a sudden you want to make your own product. So it takes a lot to do that. So I just wanted to say, get that off my chest right there. Okay, and the second one was what now? What do I see?
So like as a manufacturing consultant, when people come to you and they're making their own product, and when I say people, I mean individuals, not like large. I know you work with larger corporations as well, but individuals. What kind of common errors, mistakes, or challenges do people have?
Okay, it is several of them. First of all, one of the most beautiful sites you could go on to is fda.gov, not .com.gov, because it tells you how you should write your label. They have the wrong information. They make those beautiful claims out there. And right, Angela? And and you're like, what? So you're really setting yourself up. So that's one of the things is become familiar with exactly what are you trying to sell and what you can and cannot say. Sometimes one of the challenges, they don't know what equipment to buy. They think they can get away with certain tools, and you really need 316 stainless steel. You go to 304 stainless steel, you use plastic, but sometimes they buy the wrong equipment. You can't use aluminum nor brass in the industry. So there's certain things that they need to become familiar with the industry. And it's not an overnight type thing. And even though we got Google on our side, we could type it in, but you really need to go to a professional group like us, try to get answers, because we've been in the industry and we took the falls for you. So those are my answers.
Okay. I'm going to jump into some of the questions. Ooh, okay, so the first question is, how do I write a business plan for starting a natural hairline? Before I even turn this over to our panel, I'd say this is something that we discussed a lot, even in forming this group. And one of the things I didn't mention about Desarie is that she is also a SBA advisor consultant. I don't know what title they use. Whether they score, I said SBA score. They score. What do you score? Counselor or score volunteer?
Actually, I put on workshops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So she puts on workshops for SCORE. And one of the things that we looked at was some of the resources that SCORE has on their website for business planning. And that is something that is something that you have to work on, and that's a specialty within itself that is not necessarily covered by the six of us as far as writing a business plan specifically. But the SCORE, in fact, I'll find the site and I'll put it in chat. There's some SCORE resources that are really good for writing a business plan. When you're writing your business plan, some of the things that Desarie talked about, thinking about your business entity, and also marketing is going to be a big piece of that business plan. That's part of stopping and understanding what what it is you're trying to do, who your customer is. That's a huge part of your business plan. But the specific question on the table is, how do I write a business plan for starting a natural hairline?
Can I interject maybe to
Yeah,
help
absolutely.
on this? For this particular group, I would say keep it simple. You know, when you hear the word business plan, sometimes we get overwhelmed. We think we have to write this document that lives inside of a book somewhere. Yeah, right. And a lot of times, even in corporations, the business plan lives in different areas and they are shown on a PowerPoint. So, so when you think business plan, the first part of that is financial, basics, like, how much money do you think after you do what Desarie already said, of course, but your basic financial, and I won't use the word P&L in this case right now, but just to outline in simple key steps what you are trying to accomplish. Think of it like that, a roadmap, if you will, of what you're trying to accomplish for your business. And then think of it and just break it into different pieces. This is what I would like to, like year one, I would like to, and of course we all want millions and millions and millions of dollars for year one, but hey, if you get it the first year, look, call all of us because we will celebrate with you. But definitely, you want to break it into pieces. You want to start with simple budget, like Desarie, see her first to get the money figured out. What you have to spend for certain parts of the plan. And that's really, to me, I think taking that elephant and taking it and biting it into smaller pieces. Even if you can actually have don't kill me guys on this, but you can have a business plan on a page.
Yeah,
That's
really, one-page business plans. In fact, I think there is a SCORE document that talks about that.
Yeah, my advice would be to go to score.org, and we do have business plans there. So just download a template.
Yeah.
Download the template and review it. So when you review the template, you're going to have an idea of what you need to know, or the type of information that is required. So once you review the template, you'll know, it's going to give you an idea of where you are, where you're trying to go. And after you review it, you're going to either say, oh my God, I haven't done any of this, nor have I thought of it. So then to step back and to start to check the box. Get a checklist and start to check the box one at a time until you hit all the points. There could be some areas in the plan that you may say, you know what, I'm not really ready for this part right now, but I think I want to go ahead and start over here. So really, it's not a matter of, and then once you've actually looked at the plan, then you can decide how much of this can I do by myself? How much of it makes sense? How much do I need to farm out? Because each of us here are a portion of your plan.
That's right.
Okay, so you're going to have to hire, you can hire an overall plan writer, but even if you hire an overall plan writer, they're going to want you to provide them the content. Okay, they're going to help you, to structure it. And depending upon what their background is, they may help you in certain areas. But other than that, they're going to help you structure, and they're going to say, okay, here you need your budget. You're going to need your projections, because you definitely need projections, because if you're starting a plan, if you're starting a business, or if you are in a business and you're trying to create a plan, projections are very important, because that's pretty much where it all is. You got to project how much money you're going to make, how much you think you're going to make, and you're going to have assumptions. You're going to have to make assumptions based on those projections. So you're going to either have to have had experience and say, okay, based upon my last 3 or 4 years in the business, because I've been maintaining my financial statements, which you should be, you can look at those and you can make projections based on that. If you're starting out from scratch, then you want to do your research and figure out, okay, I'm in this particular industry, the manufacturing industry for beauty products. Let me go research to see what the benchmarks are for this particular business, this particular type of business, and you may have to pull assumptions from there. So to wrap it up, basically, go onto score.org, get a copy of the plan, look at it, determine where you are, and go from there. That's my advice.
I did
Okay.
put a link to the SCORE resource page for that in the chat.
And I think I actually have a
Also-
copy of it, so I could probably send it to you, Elaine, and you can
Yeah.
discuss it.
That would be great.
I have a copy of the plan. so.
And
Lane, I
then,
want to interject just
Go
for 1
ahead,
second
Angela.
also, because I think all the information given was very valuable, definitely right on point. But I want to share something that I experienced, because when I started my business, I paid someone to do a great business plan. I mean, I paid a good price for it, and they did a great job. However, I end up not really being able to use it, even with having all of the information that Desarie and Shawn say that you need, because all of those things are true. But before you're able to write the business plan, and a part of the business plan is having a better idea of what you're going to sell. I know that the person sending the question in, and I can't remember if it was Antoine, I apologize, because I know we've seen some other questions come up since then, but I remember it saying natural line. That's extremely broad. I always say start with, what problem are you trying to solve? What is going to make your natural line different from anyone else? Are you trying to develop products that you like or for you? And back to what Margaret said, all these things are a part of your business plan, because it is going to help you decide, who's this competitor that you're looking at. I call it competitor landscape. You have to be aware, familiar. So you can sit down and you can do projections. You can say how much you're going to make based on what you think you're going to sell. And all those things are required. But I would hate to see someone take the time, utilize the resources, spend the money to have a fantastic business plan that does not get them from A to B because they didn't put the additional thought in at the beginning. Margaret, I'm like you. I had to get that off my chest.
All right.
Yeah, that is true. And just to interject what she just said, and really a good business plan will have that information in there already, because they're going to ask you such specific questions about your competitors. They're going to ask you questions about who your avatar is. You're going to be forced to think about these things. So that's the reason why a one-page business plan, yeah, it's okay, but it doesn't really take you where you need to go in terms of thinking, because you have to truly think about who your audience is and what the avatar is. You have to literally say, my audience is a 28-year-old female who works 9 to 5. She has 3 children. She loves to go to the beach. You have to know everything. So once you know that avatar, everything from there, everything starts to come together. So it's not just about the marketing. It's not about the projections. The avatar is what comes first, and then it just sprouts out from there. Okay, so a good business plan has to have that. If it doesn't have that as part of it, then you might be left hanging.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we all are saying you have to stop before you start
You
running.
gotta stop before you start.
Yeah.
Because you got to make
Yeah.
certain that avatar is correct. 'Cause you can
Yeah.
give all that information based on your understanding of where you are at that time, because you haven't dug enough. It's all about you at that point. You're thinking of what who's this person is going to be as far as your customer and the products that you're going to develop for them. So it goes back to what you said, Shawn, stop before you start.
You have to.
Mhm.
And it's hard work because it feels like therapy in a way. I hate to say it, but it feels like you're talking to yourself, and that's hard. What am I trying to do? What is this product for? Who am I trying to serve? What do they need? Oh my goodness, it feels hard, but you have to do it. And once you do it though, it's going to be well worth it. And the rest of it will come to fruition.
And I think the other reason why it's hard too is because we read the story tales of, wow, overnight they became a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that wasn't. Wake up, wake up. They didn't become a multimillionaire overnight. Like you said, if 100 people were to walk in the room, can you find your customer?
Let me
Can you? Yeah, go ahead.
Margaret, let me just add to that statement. And I have seen the numbers. I have seen the numbers. I know brands, when you see brands and you say, oh my gosh, that brand just successful overnight. Oh gosh, there's Shea Moisture. Oh my gosh, there's Maria. Oh my goodness, there's Camille Rose. Oh my God. No, ma'am, no, sir. Those brands worked hard for a long, long time and invested money. It was not overnight.
Right.
Nope, that doesn't happen like that.
Mhm.
So go back. Sorry, Margaret, go back to you.
No, really, I was saying, and there's nothing wrong, because I said, look at all the department stores we have had in our lifetime. There was one that was called Woolworth 5 and 10 cent store. I know I'm dating myself.
I remember.
But it was marketed towards the people on the lower income. Just like the Dollar Tree we said earlier. They have a market. They know where they're going towards. And the same thing as the Saks and the Riches and whatever, they know what they're doing. So do you know who your customer is and how would you approach them? And what are their colors? Colors mean a lot. What the whole 9 yards, how the packaging look, how it feels, how it smells. So many times I run across people and they want a product. They say they want to be like, fill in the blank. Okay, don't we all? They say, but did you really have to think about it? And then you have to get your foundation together, because nowadays people, you're making yourself so vulnerable to people who may attack you because the product doesn't do what it said before. And before you could get away with it. They used to put a lot of stuff, but you can't. You shouldn't anyhow. But people will be making those claims. And so it's really truly a business. And we need to look at it and keep it that way. And there's still room. I still believe there's room for other products out here.
Yes.
Like there's a room for another chicken and wings. Was that Wings place?
I'm gonna jump and see. We have another question in Q&A, and then I'm gonna jump into chat. This young lady says, I've established my business as a natural hair care line. My company's name is I'm gonna say this wrong, Virginon Naturals. I'm licensed in the state of Maryland. I'm a sole proprietor as of now. I have an EIN. I'm registered in the state of Maryland. I operate my business from my kitchen. I have a website, and I also use social media for marketing. I'm almost finished my business plan. I've been launched for a year. My goal is to turn this business into $1 million brand. I need help. That is definitely a long-term question, but I'll let you guys touch on it for a second, because there was a lot of things that she just mentioned.
I want to make sure she got it all out.
Yeah. So let me just do my pitch right here, because this is what this group is developed for. Honestly, you're talking about working out of your kitchen. This is something that you need help from Margaret as far as knowing, as you grow, you don't want to get tagged by any of the entities that can tag you, including FDA. You want to make sure that you're able to scale. That's going to be something that you're going to need to talk to Margaret about. You also you talked about your business entity and where you're trying to go. That's definitely a Desarie thing. I want to make sure that your books are in order. Part of your growing is also going to be something that you're going to want to talk to Shawn about, as far as just getting that marketing plan. It sounds like you have a lot of the parts and pieces, but getting that overall plan. Your business plan that you're working on, that you're almost finished with, is going to be an excellent start. Always remember that a business plan is a living document. That thing changes over and over again. So it's not, you finish your initial one, but you don't really finish your business plan. It's going to continue to grow and change as you grow and change. But it's actually what you just laid out is why we developed the Indie Beauty membership, because there are so many moving parts and pieces to being a beauty brand, especially a product line that you need. And I haven't even touched on what you need legally, because that's just even beyond my comprehension. But that is definitely something that we have Latoicha here to help you with. Unfortunately, that's probably not a question that we can handle in this span of time, but I highly encourage you. If you can see me, my name says contact us at anhcpro.org. Contact us, use that email, contact us, so that we can help you now and for the long term. So that's how I'll answer that question. I'm going to move to chat and see what else we have. Okay, that's the same question. It says, this is Virgil, says, I'm producing a scalp oil. How do I protect myself from a liability perspective, or what word should I use on labels to protect myself? That's a two-part question. That's a Latoicha and a Margaret question, really.
Also, Angela, she deals a lot with liability, right, Angela?
Yeah, with claims.
Claims.
Oh, with claims, yeah. So this is a scalp oil. How do I protect myself? Or what words should I use on the labels to protect myself? And I'm not sure what, Virgil, give us a little bit more, like what are you looking to protect yourself from? Yeah. I'll let them answer the question, but there's a lot. Yeah, because I don't see anything on here about claims specifically. And I'm not sure, maybe give us either more details on the scalp oil or more details on what kind of protections you're talking about.
And sometimes, Elaine, they don't know they're writing claims when they say make your hair grow. That is a claim. So
yeah.
See, and you see it so often it becomes a norm. So that is considered a claim.
I think he said word somewhere in when you read it. Seemed like I said
what word
word.
should I use on the labels?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and I would also say it's dependent on what are you trying to protect, what words are you trying to use as far as, on the label, before I could give him any advice on, what type of disclaimers he can use.
Yeah. I can give him just an example of what words. Immediately when he said that, I was thinking of the words not to use.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because you do stay away when you're selling a cosmetic product from words like itchy, words like grow, because then that makes it now a drug claim.
Oh, okay.
And if you're going to use the word itchy, which several cosmetic manufacturers will use that word, you have to put that little asterisk for the disclaimer to say itchiness as it relates to dryness.
Okay.
Because if you just said itchy, then it's going to be associated with dandruff or psoriasis, and that makes it a drug claim.
I learned something new.
Yeah, then again, I don't know what he's declaring as the weight, the fill weight, the volume, how, all that. Again, the FDA.gov, it's kind of scary because there's a lot of information out there. But if you just type in the word label, they have a section that's dedicated to cosmetics. Like Angela said, they have a section that deal with drugs, and people get that kind of confused, and they don't think that's a drug. I think a drug some name they can't pronounce, but that's not a drug. When you make a claim, I mean, you know, when you make a claim once, and again, I guess that people don't think it's a claim, it stops this. But my aunt said it made her hair grow, but you can't do that. You know, you can't say stuff like that.
One little advice maybe to, like, I'm coming from a marketer's perspective,
Okay.
you know, before you, when you're writing or thinking about writing your copy, look at the big company brands, because they have already crossed some hurdle as far as regulatory.
Right.
Not to say that that's exactly what you're going to say it shouldn't be, but that'll give you guidance, because when, like what Angela said about, you know, the word itchy, you know, you probably would see an asterisk on a brand that's made by, let's say, a L'Oreal or something, and they would have the, you know, the disclaimer, so you'll kind of get a cue. Okay, if I use that word, then, you know, the big companies are using a disclaimer. So that gives you, they're just words like, you know, that are out there, like growing and healing and restoring and stimulating, all these words, and big companies have to change labels all the time when their brand name or something is, you know, not compliant, because it costs millions of dollars to deal with it.
And it's definitely something that we as a group can talk about in more detail and probably some of our webinars. Because Shawn, even to your point, when you use the word healing, like there are products out there now that say healing all. And you can say healing as long as you're not saying you're healing a condition or a treatment. It's a treatment.
This type of healing.
So you can't, I mean, you can have a healing oil that has a nice fragrance, and you can talk about, you know, it healing dryness, you know, because that's still very cosmetic. But when you start speaking of it as, again, as it relates to itchy or psoriasis or even a massaging oil, you just have to be careful of how you use the word. So there's some words that are okay for a cosmetic claim, but it only takes one word added to it to change it from a cosmetic claim to a OTC product, over-the-counter drug product.
Angela, can you talk about Proposition 65, the California law, or any warnings on the label? Can you address that, since you have bigger, deep background in regulatory?
Yeah, to be honest, I do focus more so on the cosmetic claims aspect of it, and I usually refer the warnings over to, you know, someone else, probably would be you, Margaret, but just in general, of course, we're familiar with the, you know, Proposition 65, and it's more so related there. Those are more environmental claims. I think of those more when I think of the hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons, for everyone listening, is more like the mineral, the petrolatum. It goes back to our air quality, environment, all those being regulated as well. I have to be honest, I see those as being less of an issue now than crossing over, you know, to the drug claim, because with the FDA has the Federal Drug and Cosmetic Act, and that's the group that actually monitors cosmetic products. And they will send you a warning letter. And so you don't want to be in that position. And then they also have the, you have the trade commissioner that looks at more so from an advertising point of view. So claims to be more of an issue. Yes, the FTC tends to be more of a issue, especially for smaller companies, because you got to be competitive. You can't compete with the distribution that a larger company has. So the way that you can be competitive is with claims, but it's so easy to have one word taking you someplace else.
Yep.
Hi, Virgil. Now I kept saying the name sound familiar.
So,
Mazzani L'Oreal. Okay.
yeah, yep. So, okay, we have another question. If I have an S-Corp for my distribution business, can I form a C-Corp for my manufacturing business? That's right.
Well, my question would be why? Why would you want to
Okay.
make it up that way? I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but there has to be a reason, a good reason for doing it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't like just sitting here and thinking about it. I don't really see the benefit of that unless
Right.
there's, but of course I don't know your situation, so I can't say that for sure. But just generally speaking, I don't necessarily see the benefit.
And
But
I
could
will
be
say
wrong.
that, because I've been kind of watching the questions, I will say that that question came up when you were talking about the need for being a C-Corp for funding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right, I
So
figured that.
that's
Yeah,
probably the line of thought, because that's when that question came into the chat.
right. Now he said C for manufacturing, and what was the S for again? I forgot.
S Corp is distribution, and then C Corp would be
Okay,
manufacturing.
distribution and manufacturing. Okay. Well, that's a good question, because yeah, those are two different businesses.
Mhm.
They're two different business types. So you would need two entities, or you can have a parent and then subs. If you want to keep your accounting simple, then you can have a parent company and then you can have subs, where you're breaking up the two, because distribution and manufacturing are two totally different types of businesses. So they will require two different treatments. However, you can
Yeah.
create a parent and then have your subs for tax and accounting purposes, to make things a lot easier and not as expensive, where you're breaking things up. So, but you have to sort of, you would want to sit down and speak with an accountant to see if, based upon what you're actually doing and what your short and long-term goals are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Antoine said that it was, the reason is to form a different name. So that might even be.
Well, you can have a different name. Like if you have a parent and a sub, they can have different EINs. They can have the same EIN. If they have the same EIN, then that has its own set of problems. If they have separate EINs, then the problems that you would have if they had the same EIN for liability purposes, you wouldn't have that same problem if they were separated. So it's very intricate. So you would need to speak with an accountant and an attorney for that particular question, because the attorney is going to advise you on the possible exposure that you may have in terms of legal, and then I would advise you, an accountant would advise you on your tax situation. And there are a lot of times that if you speak with an attorney and you speak with an accountant separately, I can tell you that there is going to be some, not conflicts, but the attorney looks at things strictly usually from a legal perspective. Okay, so when an accountant looks at things, we look at things from a tax perspective. And sometimes those two collide and it doesn't make sense. So, but you can find a middle ground, but you just have to, it's always best if you have an accountant who works with an attorney, because then they kind of understand each other and they know how, they can advise you together. So that way you get the best possible outcome for legal purposes, and also for tax planning and tax liability, tax credits, and all of that other stuff.
Absolutely. So if you want to get in touch with anyone here tonight, just email us at contact@anhcpro.org, and that way we can get you the more specific advice and more specific help. Another question that we have is, I'm a licensed hairstylist, salon owner. I do not have a background in chemistry or biology. I do have a desire, based on experience behind the chair, to develop a product for moisture/detangle styling for natural hair. Are there chemists who will help me with formulations, ratios, safe preservative alternatives? What should be done before this happens? Margaret, I'll start with you first. I could have started with Angela. Either one would have been fine.
Yeah.
Go for it, Margaret.
No, but I often say, don't disregard your knowledge because you are a hairstylist. You see a lot of stuff that the bench chemist really does not see. The bench chemist sometimes they work on because chemically it said this should happen and that can happen. Okay, yeah, sure. The beautiful thing if both of them are working together, then you come up with some ideas. I tell people get a notebook, a bind notebook with pages pre-numbered. Write down what do you see when you use XYZ product. That's your research that you're going to get, and you're going to find a chemist who will either say, yeah, I'll make it from scratch, and they pay X amount of dollars, or they make it with you, or they have something similar. Because guess what? They've been doing this for years, right? Angela, you've been doing. So you have something that will work and help you develop the product that you want. So that's my take on it. Is don't down yourself because you're not a scientist. And everybody's not. Everybody say I'm a chemist. I've been doing. It's just like a ball game. You gotta each time you go out on the field, you gotta win the game again. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just real. Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, I totally agree, Margaret. I feel like everyone has a position and a role to play. And I know my clients, I learned so much from them, and the majority of them are stylists because they actually have, I call it the actual experience. I always go back to the chemical equation where, you got theory and chemists coming in with a whole lot of theory.
Yes.
And then you have actual how that product is actually going to perform on hair. You need them both. Because if you're just going based on the application, then you're not really understanding which ingredients in the formula are contributing to the performance. And sometimes you realize that it really wasn't just the one product. You're talking about the one product, but then when you start talking in more details, you realize that it was several products. It was more of the regimen. And so with both the stylist and the chemist coming in with the understanding of hair, and the stylist sharing her knowledge and expertise on the application and how the hair respond to the product at each step, then that allows the chemist to be able to picture that from a chemical equation point of view. You get a chance to see which ingredients are going to be key to deliver, the desired performance. So they go hand in hand. One cannot work without the other. You need that stylist / educator to actually work with the scientist to help develop the product.
Yeah, and and you also got to understand that some of these ingredients that, and I hate to use the word natural because that's a whole nother conversation, but some of these ingredients never really pass our bench because the companies who we purchased from, they were using synthetic product. They didn't take the herbs and spices that we see today that's in the hair care product. The folklore did it. Not to say it didn't work, it's just that they just didn't use it. I mean, every day when you could go and you could read some things about herbs and it would do certain things, it's like, whoa. Like I told somebody, oregano is very powerful. The herb, the essential oil, oregano, I said, but nobody really pushed it. The only essential oil that came out first, I think, to me, was besides lemongrass, was tea tree. Then they started talking about the other ones as you started venturing and learning about it. But and it took them some years to do it. Castor oil was given only when your mother or father, your parents would give you castor oil during the seasonal change. But no one, and there's several people did look at it as a castor oil pack, look at it for taking care of some tags off your system, but nobody, this is not going across the scientist bench. And I remember the times that we couldn't even purchase some of those things, but we didn't know where to go get them.
Yeah.
So it's a secondary point to her question. what does she need to do? So she knows she knows she's an integral part of the decision-making process. She wants to start her own line. She wants to get with the chemist. Is there something she needs to do? And I say a chemist, I'm just going to say she wants to get with Angela. And she wants to get with Angela, get this product made. Angela, what does she need to do before she comes to see you?
I think Margaret actually said it also. Write down exactly what her regimen is right now. And to be honest, I always say start videoing some of your product application, because when they say a picture is worth a million words, that is so true. Because sometimes when we're writing it down, we're missing something. I'll look at a video and say, oh, but we didn't discuss this, but I saw it in the video. Can you elaborate on it? So start videoing your work and sit down and just think about the regimen, because sometimes it helps the stylist also, because they're hands-on, they got another client coming in, so they are just moving through the process to get the job done because they know that's what they need to do and that's what they have to do. Sometimes if you video it and you sit back and look at it, then they may even pick up on something that they didn't realize during the application as it relates to how the hair respond to the treatment. And I think of it the same as looking at a movie. You know how you always say, man, when I watched that movie the second time, I saw something I didn't see the first time. I mean, it's real. So it gives you that opportunity to have a better understanding. Doesn't mean you have to have all of the answers to the questions, because as we talk and then I start sharing my expertise as it relates to hair types also, there's going to be some other things surface, but just do some homework so that when we meet, you know, we have a very engaging and good conversation.
Nice.
And I just add one more thing is that wherever you get your raw materials from, if you're doing it on your own, make sure you write the name of the company, because that, like some people say they get vitamin E. Well, if you look at the ingredient, it's really sunflower oil and vitamin E. Okay, so she would know. Otherwise, you would go straight to vitamin E. Okay, so just make sure you take those notes. And the videos, that's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah. Now, just to clarify, if you want to do a DIY, then Margaret, we kind of have dual roles here. Margaret will talk you through the ingredients that you know you're already using and how you want to put the product together. I don't do the DIY support because we have someone else too with that expertise. And I also don't do reverse engineering because I always share with everyone that it will take just as much time, in my opinion, to develop a product from reverse engineering as starting from scratch and doing a customized formula. And the main reason is the process. It's not just the ingredients, it's also the process. I always give an example that you can give two women, and I know because it happened with me and my mother, you can give two women the same 10 ingredients for a cake. Mine never come out like hers. We have the same ingredients. So sometimes I think she's leaving out something, but I do know the importance of process, and you don't get that in reverse engineering.
Okay, that's good to know. We have
Lost Margaret.
we did. Hopefully we'll get her back shortly. Michelle has a question. She said, I've been in business 19 years and starting out with developing 2 products. I'm currently retailing curl products in my salon. What should be my first steps in marketing / branding the product? That is a large question, but that is a Shawn question.
All right, Michelle. What's the first part? I'm looking for her question here.
It's in Q&A. It says, I've been in business for 19 years and starting out with developing 2 products. I'm currently retailing curl products in my salon.
Okay. All right. And then the question is?
What should be my first steps in marketing / branding the product?
Okay. So the first step before marketing would be branding. That's the first step, you know, because it sounds like you're selling it already in the salon. You said you're selling some curl products in the salon. So I'm assuming there must be a brand name of some sort, or some descriptions that you're doing. So let's just assume for a minute you came up with something, but maybe you want to make it bigger or better. So now would be the time to really make sure that your brand name is created, and it is something that you feel that could be ownable, and that's where, you know, Latoicha comes in, and from the legal side, but that your brand name is ownable, recognizable, and something that you feel like you can build upon when you establish your brand name. Sometimes people use a person's name or their name or something like that. Be careful if you're using your name, because obviously your name has a lot of things attached to it, and that you want to make sure that whatever it is, it's ownable. And again, that's where legal and marketing hold hands, hold hands together. So you want to try, and I would also make sure that your branding is, just remember, it's going to go everywhere when you start marketing the product. Your brand is going to show up on, the package. It's going to show up on materials that you create, t-shirts, banners, everywhere. So make sure, one, that people can pronounce it and say it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Sometimes we get excited about a name. Big companies have done it, and we put a name out there that nobody can say, or we will mess it up, So just make sure that it's something that can be recognized and articulated and can be animated across multiple platforms. And then what was the second question?
Marketing. So branding and marketing.
And then in terms of marketing, marketing is the word marketing. When you think marketing, there's a lot of different parts to marketing. It's not just one thing. It's not just going on Instagram, or, it's not just creating a website. That's not that's one part of marketing, So when you're thinking about marketing your product, you have to think about, I'm going to assume that you have done no marketing at all. You have to start with first identification of your, specific target audience, your end user, and I'm not saying that you would feel this way, but a lot of people sometimes market to themselves. And because a lot of times we feel like we know the customer better than anybody else. Well, first of all, make sure, one, that you listen first, listen to the consumer and their needs, hear it, because it could be very different than what you thought. What if your consumer is not on TikTok and they're on Facebook? People say, oh, well, the older people on Facebook, I want to be on TikTok doing videos, Well, you could look really cool being on a certain platform, but you want the consumer to buy your product. Just because your friends don't see that brand doesn't mean that somebody isn't buying that brand and you're generating revenue. Just saying. There's lots of brands that don't do a whole lot of advertising and they make a lot of money. So for marketing your brand, I would say start with the basics, the basics. Make sure you're sampling your product, putting it in as many people's hands as you possibly can, getting testimonials on your product. I sent out a little thing that I shared about this too, but make sure that you're including your product in gift baskets, or that your brand is being participating in things that your consumer cares about. For an example, your brand could have sponsored this event with us, right? For an example, if your end user was going to be a part of this event. Think about that, things like that. Virtual events are really great things to sponsor and sample, to be a part of that. And then of course, digital marketing, which is a whole part of the conversation. But basics, cover the basics, make sure you know who your consumer is, serve your consumer well. And that's really the key to that.
And she said she's been in business for 19 years and has a salon. So I would assume that her salon clients are good for R&D, if nothing else, when it comes
for testing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and also let's say, how do I say this with tactfully? Even though sometimes we may fall in love with something, the end user, you have to get her from, oh, this is nice, to, oh, I have to have it.
Right.
That's marketing. That, oh, this is nice, but I could do without it. It's okay. But marketing is creating that story, creating that brand affinity, that love for something, for that brand and you, that makes that person have to have it. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have another question. This is an interesting question. It says, any advice on how to go about creating tools, hair tools, irons, flat, and curling? And although this group is, we're specifically focused on creating, I call them wet products, creating those type of products. We do have a few people in our network who have developed hair tools. And so, Carl, if you could email me at contact@anhcpro.org, I can get you in touch with those experts that can really help you with that process when it comes to tools. And then in the tool arena, you're definitely going to want the advice of a lawyer when it comes to patents, especially if your tool is doing something unique, which a lot of curling tools or tools for natural hair are still able to make themselves unique in the marketplace. So that is something that we do. But yeah, contact us at anhcpro.org. I see you there. And then let's see, got quite a few more. A lot of thank yous, which is wonderful. We did the chemist, not a chemist. Someone else, oh, Tasha, let's go back up to Tasha. I saw 2 questions. I'll go back here. So yeah, so this is kind of circling back to the Virgil comment. Just to piggy off of Virgil, I have products that adhere to the skin. I use Tabar Group LLC is limited exclusively for replacement cost for this product on my packaging. I'm not sure I understand that question. Tasha, if you could give me a little clarity on your question so we can get that answered, that would be wonderful. I did that. Scalp oil, C-Corp. Okay, we have, what material should I buy to formulate my product? Where can I get the mixers, scales, measuring equipment, etc.?
Oh, wow.
That is from the beginning. So I'm going to rephrase that a little bit. If someone was starting out, first thing, if you're starting out and it says natural hairline, and I know Angela mentioned how broad that is, you definitely want to get some consulting. If this is something you want to do on your own and you want to get your own equipment, what I'm going to recommend is that you contact us at anhcpro.org. But what I'm going to do specifically is advise you to consult with Margaret Haven to talk about what type of product it is and what type of tools or equipment that you may already have or that you may need to use to start. And before you make that investment, really circle back to what everybody said at the beginning of the webinar. Make sure that you have pulled that business plan together and really thought through all the parts and pieces. So really start with the link we shared with you for the SCORE link for those resources. And that goes to your secondary question as well. What legal documents do I need and how do I launch my product line online? So yeah, so those are all the right questions to ask when you are developing your business plan, for sure.
Let me add, when the question is about how do I launch my business online, that is a huge question, but it also is, again, going back to the point of, if don't jump out there because you feel like you have to be out there right now, you know, make sure because you want your messages to be consistent. Even if you have a lot of things online, doesn't mean that you're making an impact.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
you want to make sure that you are, when you are out there, that you are making an impact and that you're reaching the consumer that you're trying to reach. Okay.
Mhm.
Elaine, I had a question regarding that question. When they were asking about legal documents, was he asking about legal documents that they would need to launch online or just the business in general?
That's a good question, Kyra. If you could answer that in chat, that'd be great. So when you say legal documents, are you talking about specific to launching online, or are you talking about specific to starting your business? And then Tasha came back and said, I wasn't sure if that was the proper way to post on packaging or to avoid law. Oh, okay, or to avoid lawsuits. So I have to go back. So Tasha has a product that adheres to the skin, has a name, LLC, is limited exclusively to replacement costs of this product on my package. And I'm still not sure about that, but I guess on the packaging it says that the LLC is limited exclusively for the replacement cost of this product. I'm not sure what that means. Everybody shaking their head? No.
No.
So
I'm
Tasha, you
gonna
have
give it a
don't wanna-
shot. I'm gonna give it
Okay.
a shot.
Okay.
Go
I
for it.
think what she's asking it, I'm gonna give it a shot. That she has her LLC on the package, okay, and that she is willing to replace the cost of that, and it offers some replacement costs claim, like, you know, that if you have a problem, that will replace the cost of your product. You know what I mean? Like not a guarantee. Yeah, I guess a guarantee, and the cost is not. Tasha, I hope that's what you're saying, but that you can get your money, the replacement cost of your product.
It's like
You
a
can get your product
guarantee.
replaced.
So a guarantee.
I think that's what she's saying.
Refund
Refund or replacement is what she
yeah.
has it right.
So guarantee performance.
To avoid legal issues in case somebody has a rash or something breaks out or something like that.
I don't know, like legally.
Oh, wait a minute. So I'm sorry, I'm just catching up. I'm like 50 steps behind you guys. So you have a product that adheres to the skin, and you're saying that if something bad happens, that you're only going to cover replacement of the product, not the cost of the, I'll call it
that's what she's
irritation.
Okay.
Okay, I just caught up. I'm sorry. I'm here now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's like two liability questions for me, because if the product harms you, then that's a whole nother legal issue, because someone can sue you for that. You know, I've heard of, you know, money back guarantees. You know, that's something that, you know, a lot of companies use, like, hey, if you don't like the product, we'll give you your money back. But if the product causes damage, if someone sues you, you're just going to be sued. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could minimize liability there.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Tasha. If not,
may I make a suggestion? Is it possible, and I asked Latoicha this, is if she put something on there that says to test it first, like in hair color, you have to test, do a skin allergen test.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Maybe.
Because a lot of products do that.
But I don't think, I think what she's saying is that I will replace the product, but I'm not going to be liable. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh, okay.
If the product causes damage, but that's, you know, if the product causes damage, it's like, that's kind of out of your control as far as liability if someone wants to pursue that claim.
Yeah.
But that could limit the risk, though, if you ask someone to test it before you.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with hair color. Yeah.
But we got to be careful. The test with the hair color is for allergic reaction.
That's
and
probably
so
what this would be.
Right, but that's already been identified by the European Annex. So it can't be just any ingredient. It's like there's certain ingredients that's already
Right.
listed on a European annex list as known, possible allergens.
Allergens.
They even give you the warning that has to be on the packaging, so it's not even by the manufacturer's choice. I mean, they have to list that as part of the package label requirements. So that's a little different. If you say, for instance, I've had some people use a conditioner. I know she's giving skincare, but I wanted to give an example that, I've recently experienced. Someone had a conditioner that irritated their scalp. And sometimes that irritation can come from an ingredient that's commonly used, but you may have exceeded the percentage that has already been validated via safety not to cause scalp irritation.
Right.
And when that happens, that's not a replacement, that's a liability issue. And that's where people like myself have had to go in and do depositions, because it is, did you use the product according to the directions? That's one part. And if they did, then it falls back on the manufacturer to make certain that their product has all of the appropriate safety testing and required.
Okay. Well, Tasha, I think you got a lot of advice on that one. So yeah, you're welcome. So there's another question here, and it goes back to claims. It says, I have a hair growth oil. Our hair only stops growing after death. So I think it's okay to use hair growth oil. Your thought? Your thought?
Angela.
I say use the oil if it's working for you. But as far as the claim,
this is her oil. She's not saying this is her oil.
Yeah.
Okay,
meaning she's selling it, so she's using that term.
Yes, you can use the oil. I mean, and you're selling the oil, and if it's working for you, then that's fine. But it doesn't change the fact that it is not validated for growth. I often share with individuals that sometimes, we get a lot of breakage because our hair is dry, brittle. So if I find an oil that works for me, it's not too oily, it's not too heavy, and I'm using it more often, and I'm keeping my hair, moisturized, it's lubricated, then I'm going to have less breakage. So it's not that my hair grew more, it's that I had less breakage. So now my hair is longer. So if you have less breakage, then your hair is going to be longer, but you didn't change the rate of your hair growth. You just prevented breakage. And so I'm a firm believer of oils. I just know from a legal point of view, you can't claim, growth for the oil. You see large cosmetic manufacturers say grow longer. You can say grow longer because that's another way of saying less breakage.
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently speaking, where did it start from? Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't even know you could say grow longer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think, and I could be wrong, people, if you have a question on here that we haven't answered, let me know. I think that we have answered the questions. It's a thank you that we've been asked. If you all have additional questions, please let me know. Put them in the chat. And while you guys are doing that or adding your additional questions, I'm going to go over some of the topics that we're going to be going over with our indie beauty group as over the next year, really. So we're going to talk about in more detail selecting your business entity, the specifics of S-Corps and corporations. We're going to talk about marketing fundamentals, agreements among partners, shareholders, partners, investors, bookkeeping, budgeting. We'll be talking about business credit, your brand story, selecting ingredients, claims, which is something that we talked about a lot tonight, choosing your benchmark.
Mhm.
Really, and that's part of that stopping and understanding what it is that you're trying to create. So with your product, and what is your benchmark? Protecting your intellectual property, funding. We do have someone coming in that's going to speak to us about funding and going to help us in that area. And we're talking about just the difference of the different types of people that need to help you in different phases of your business: a CFO versus a bookkeeper versus an accountant. Who should be on your team whether you're when you're starting up, when you're growing, when you're expanding, and when you're just trying to maintain. Like, what should those different people look like? Employees versus contractors. A lot of you guys on here are salon owners. That is something that's real key that can bite you unexpectedly. Inventory tracking, converting your formula for manufacturing or scaling up. So if you're working, someone said they have a product that they make in the kitchen. If you're using a recipe, and I always like recipe when you use a tablespoon, a cup, when you're using that, then you're using a recipe. If you're using parts, that's when you're using a formula. But you could be using a formula for a small batch, and then when you scale up, you're going to need assistance with what that looks like. Or if you are using a recipe and you want to turn that into a formula to give you more options, we're going to be helping with that. Packaging, filling, marketing strategy, goals to reach your customers, where to sell your products, and that's something that we have discussed over the years, talking about big box versus boutique versus online, on all of the above, digital marketing, brand awareness, digital sales, and then really looking at your business overall and revisiting all of those things. So because if I haven't mentioned it before, it's definitely a cycle. You're going to plan, develop, test, revise, plan, develop, plan, test, revise. I mean, it's definitely a cycle. It's ongoing. That's why that business plan is a living document. So does anybody have any additional questions that they have for our panelists? And while you guys are thinking of questions, I do want to come back to our panelists and ask them this question. At the beginning, I asked you guys what is one of the key, or what are one of the common mistakes or challenges that people have, that you have with your clients, or that your clients have. And now what I want to ask you is what thing is necessary for success that your client must have in order to be successful. And we'll start with Latoicha. Latoicha?
Yes.
So when a client comes to you, what is something that they should have in order to be successful? What is something that either they have it when they come to you, or you're going to make sure that they have it, you're going to make them get it before you can really help them, because they're going to need it in order for you to be able to help them?
I think the most important thing is just to do their research, because even if you don't have the resources or the time before you come to me to do like a deep search on whether what you have is truly unique as far as your intellectual property, as far as like you said, methods and formulas, recipes, brand recognition, brand identity. You can always do like a quick Google search, before you decide on a name, or you're like, this is the name I want, and you start incorporating or whatever. Because Google will find most things. It won't find everything, but it will find most businesses that are online. So I think if you just do like a quick Google search just to make sure that what you actually have is unique, that is very helpful, because that will give you a little knowledge about what you have, and then if you need to rethink some things or come up with another name, come up with another formula, another idea, then you'll be able to do that.
Okay, that's excellent. What about you, Desiree? What is something that your clients need to have in order for you to be able to help them or for them to be successful?
Well, I guess it depends on what they're coming to me for, but the one major thing is they have to have some sort of bookkeeping system, because usually when someone's coming to see me, it could be a tax issue. Well, in order for me to even get to that aspect, I need to look at your numbers. I need to see how your business is doing, okay, and how is it going to affect you tax-wise. If you're coming to me because you're thinking about getting a loan, we need numbers. If you're coming to me for financial coaching, I got to look at your numbers to see where to start. So everything starts with your numbers, and it's not just plopping down your bank statements and saying, oh, well, here you go, because, that's really, if you do that, that means that we have to pretty much start to create your financial picture. And, I can honestly say that in this industry, well, at least with the hairstylists and the hair salons, that's a big issue, because a lot of people don't maintain it. They don't see the need. If you're trying to grow your business, in order for us to be able to get KPIs, and that's key performance indicators, in order for us to create cash flow statements, in order for us to do anything that is going to help you grow your business from a profit perspective, or to help you reduce your expenses so that way you're not paying as much in taxes, we have to know what's coming in and what's going out. So that really is something that I have to have if I can really help you. Otherwise, I'm just guessing. All I can do at that point is advise you to go do that. But if you come to me with it, then we could sort of move from there.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yes. Margaret, before someone comes to you for consulting, what is something that they need to have in order for you to be able to help them?
Oh, okay, because at this point, they already know what they want and they already have it. So my thing is the numbers. Let's give me some strategy. That's going to tell me what type of a container you could utilize, you need to buy. Some people think they have to buy a 2,000 gallon. I said, no, that was L'Oreal, that was Wisconsin Products. No, you're not there. So, and then the filling machine, some filling machines, believe it or not, reasonably priced, run 10 to 20 bottles a minute. So if you do the math, yeah, so you got it. And I found some pieces of equipment for less than, well, they probably going up some now, but at first when it came out of the market, for less than $200. So I could get you going from that standpoint. So have some form of realistic marketing strategy of how many pieces you would want. Yeah.
So when you say how many, go ahead.
Now how many pieces and what the raw ingredients, because I could show you, many times I show the way they could buy a reliable supplier. All the suppliers are not reliable for raw materials. I can save you money there too.
Okay. So when you say your quantities and your numbers, because I've heard you ask this of other clients before, knowing how many units you're selling and what's a reasonable projection of what you're going to be selling. Is that what you mean by your units,
Yeah.
your quantities? Okay.
Yeah, because then I could show them, like I could break out the bill of material, which they call the BOM, B-O-M, and I could show them, well, if this is how much it's going to cost you based on the raw materials, that I can show you where to buy them from. Then if you sell one unit, I have a calculation spreadsheet that is this is how much profit you make, 2 units all the way down to 1,000 pieces. So now it gives them a plan. And they say, oh, well, you know what? I really just want to make an extra, I'm just saying $1,000 a month. So that's $250, $250 a week, right? Yeah. Someplace around there, my math is not that great after 8. But but then again, then they break down and tell you how many units you have to sell. So I'm giving them something they feel like, okay, hopefully I'm giving something like, oh, this sounds real, this sounds realistic. because there's still money in the business now. There's still money in the business. It's just that you need some type of strategy to how you're going to get it.
Mhm.
Okay. Shawn, what about you? And I know people come to you from at all
Different point all
levels,
over.
all points, yeah. But what is something that they just have to have in order for you to help them? What will make them successful?
You're right. I can see, the big thing is if you have, at least you have an idea that you believe in.
Mm.
You believe in your concept. Now you may not know how to tell the story about it. You may not even know what colors, you may not, but I can help them to crystallize that concept into words, into a way that the rest of the team can be articulated in a way that people can understand it. But you have to at least have that, you know. The worst thing is to just say, oh, I just want a generic box of tissue. Okay, but does it have like soothing aloe in it? So that when people catch colds, that their nose, because the reason that they need that is because their nose is hurting. So the soothing aloe helps to moisture, you know, you have to have at least that. But mostly for me, you know, I think I'm the part where I can help you bring things together. You don't have to be all the way together to talk to me. You don't. You don't have but you do have to be when you move further down the line.
Okay.
You know.
But something that they're passionate about that has something special to it.
Yes, and if they need help trying to figure out what makes it special, I can help them do that. I'm the place where you still have questions. You don't have it together yet. You're trying to figure it out. You don't quite know yet, but you know in your heart that it's something that you want to do, and helping you to try to pull that together. Then you come back later for, okay, now that that's done, how do I go a package? What design should that be? What should that look like? You know, then what's the message that you're talking to the consumer? Marketing is like the center, to me, is the center of the wheel.
Mhm.
You know, with all the different spokes, and it's involved in every part of the story, from the beginning, the idea, to all the way through, you know, selling nationally, multi-millions of dollars and all of that, and how you make sure that that machine keeps running. So I hope
Okay.
that answers it, but
No, it does, absolutely.
yeah.
And Angela, I'll make your question two parts. So I know. She's like, what?
Exactly.
So no,
Okay.
the first part is because people totally understand what marketing is. If they're already making their product, they understand manufacturing, accounting, legal. So one, what do people come to you for? Like, what is it that you do? What do they come to you for? And then what is it they need to have in order to be successful?
Okay. They come to me because they're ready to create their own product line. And that has been the case, or they've decided that for several reasons. Some has been post-COVID-19, and let's be honest, and we're not post, but since COVID-19 started, I should say, and they realized that once their salons closed, they didn't have another stream of revenue. So post COVID-19 has played a big role. Others are, you've had stylists who've been in the business for decades, and they realize they're constantly buying other brands' products when they could be selling their own. So they're investing a lot in other brands, and they're now at a point where they want to invest in themselves. And
Nice.
for some other clients, it has been, you know, they have diversified. Some decades ago, you have women of color, they're doing only women of color hair, and more specifically African American women hair. Now, with the focus on texture, they have multi ethnicities coming to their salon. So they need to broaden their product offerings. So those are some of the reasons why clients come to me. When they come to me, I do like for them to have an idea of what problem they're solving. And it could be different based on the reason why they're deciding to sell their products. But I still like to know what product you're solving. And then together we go over the who, what, why. The who's your target, not for me as much target consumer as target hair types, because I'm doing the chemistry part of it. I'm more concerned about the hair type than I am, the ethnicity. I know we often speak of texture hair, but I say even straight hair becomes texture because you're bleaching, you're permanent, it's a feel. Texture is a feel. So let's focus on the texture of hair, and that is tied to the who. And then the what is knowing what you want to create, having an idea. Some people want to start with styling because we still, although shampoos and conditioners are growing, because we also use conditioners to style, people still want to start with styling products, and then others want to start with hair care. So that's the what. And then the why is, why are you doing this? And that goes to what difference you think you're going to make, or what problem you're trying to solve. And that we kind of work through together. That's where the video comes in. That's where we talk about the clients that they serve, the results that they're getting, things that they're still seeking. And after, several conversations, we don't rush the process. That's the other thing. You don't rush the process, because then you will be repeating, formulating over and over again. So you give advice, you sit back and listen, and you ask them to do the same. And then together you create the who, the what, the why.
Awesome.
And can I just add one thing on my end, because we are speaking to manufacturing people who are manufacturing their products. So because you are manufacturers, you're going to have two sides to your accounting, and the cost accounting is a little different from regular financial accounting. So when you do choose your accountant, you have to make sure that they understand cost accounting, because it's completely different. And it's one of the most important things that you're going to have to track, because a lot of your expenses are going to go into the cost of your goods. Okay, so when Margaret was talking about something, she was saying something about adding certain amounts, and right, that stuff is extremely important. Because you first of all, you want to know what it costs you to create your products, right? What does it cost me to create one bottle of shampoo, or to manufacture one bottle of shampoo, because that's how you're going to price. So, and there's so many different facets to that, because you're looking at direct costs and indirect costs. Okay, so you have to keep track of everything. You got to keep track of everything. But most important, you want to make sure that you speak with somebody who has cost accounting knowledge, because they're the ones that are going to put together your cost of goods, especially if you're a deep into manufacturing. It's a little bit different when you're a retail. If you're just selling retail products, that's a little different, because your cost of goods is basically the fact that you purchase a bottle of shampoo for $5 and you're selling it for 10. Okay, so your cost of goods sold is $5. But when you're talking about different ingredients, now you're looking at different variables. And then you have the manufacturing space that you're working out of, whether you're working from your kitchen or wherever. If you're working out of a particular space, now you got to figure out how much of the indirect costs are going to be part of my cost of goods sold. And you want to capture every penny, because I've seen where manufacturing companies or other businesses who use cost accounting have lost, or rather they have minimized, or they have lost a lot in deductions. They don't keep up with everything. So you really do need an accountant who is going to do the heavy lifting for you. I'm not saying you have to do it, but you have to hire someone to do it. And that's why it's important, once again, to go back to your budget. You want to have those costs for paying an accountant in your budget, so you're not scrambling you know, when it's time to actually to do these things, you're not scrambling trying to figure out, well, where am I going to get the money from? If it's in your budget, you know that, okay, I can afford to pay, this is what I can afford to pay. And then you find someone that will work with you based upon the budget that you have.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we have, so someone said, I'm ready to get a product line developed, so I'm going to need all of you all. Yes, you are.
That's great.
Contact us
Eventually.
at
Eventually.
contact us at anhcpro.org. Please. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. This is a long time in the making. And it's really important for me to have a group like this to come together. Being over an association of hairstylists and salon owners, this has become, you know, we always say, like I said, the business plan is constantly developing, because this is not an area that I thought was going to be so important, but it's been a major pull for us to have help and assistance with specifically launching a product line or growing a product line that's already, that you already have. And so I really wanted to bring this group together. I didn't want to just have one person who could maybe help you make your own product, or a person who could make a product for you. I want the whole, I want a complete, so you can have complete help with your business. So from the legal, accounting, marketing, product development, manufacturing, I wanted to have that full group. And we are a big portion of that, but we're not even the whole. Through our membership, we're going to be bringing in guest experts as well to help with some more of the particulars that go along with this. So yes, so anyone who says, yes, I need all of these people, you do, and to be to eliminate all modesty, you can't afford this group separately. Not all at once. Like you may be in phases as you're developing your business, but it's not something that you can just dive into. So having them all in one place is important, and that's why we developed the Indie Beauty membership as a part of ANHC Pro. So yeah, so I totally agree with the person who says you need all of these people. Yes, and I think I saw another question.
Elaine, can I jump in for a second?
Yes, absolutely, please.
I saw quite a few questions on digital marketing and Instagram and content creation and quite a few things. And I just wanted to add that there will be a digital marketing webinar that you've added to the list, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
A digital marketing, yeah. I'm more of a brand strategist and that type of thing. I understand it, but you know, there's somebody else who will be much more precise with you about specific ways to approach your digital marketing and things like that. So we'll probably be working together on a lot of those. But I just want to mention that because I saw quite a few questions about that.
Okay, yeah, and the young lady's name, and some of y'all are familiar with her. She's done some webinars for us in the past. Is Adrian, and so we will have her working with us to get you guys some more information. And also, I saw some questions in here. In fact, I think this is one of them. What are some good sites for helping with getting content for social media marketing tips for a startup that doesn't have deep pockets? We actually did a webinar about this today, this afternoon, and the playback is available. It's ANHCPro.org. If you just go to our website and go to webinars, all of the webinars listed there, there's a playback button, so you can just hit watch on demand, and we have that. So yeah, we literally did that, and Royce, who was the presenter for us, was excellent today. Some of the things that she mentioned are some out of the box thinking, especially if you don't have deep pockets. So she talked about your social media. She talked about LinkedIn, Facebook. She talked about ads, how to market if you don't have money for ads. But she also talked about some things that some people neglect. Press releases, how to get your get things in your local paper, and other local I don't know, publications, yeah, but
Or
online
media.
and offline, yeah.
Yeah.
So online and offline, how to do that. She talked about white papers. She was really, because I even me, when I think of white papers, I think of very specific expertise, but she kind of broke down like how you can do white paper. She also broke down how you probably have a press worthy something happen once a month that you haven't even thought of. So she talked about that. She happens to be a content writer as well. She talked about blogs. So it's a very good webinar. And we do have the playback available on our website. So for you specifically who asked a question about social media and marketing without deep pockets, that's exactly what we talked about earlier today.
Elaine, I also,
yeah.
okay, you probably get ready to say the same thing. I was saying I also saw a question of how you become a member.
Yes.
Member?
So becoming a member is easy. You can go to ANHCPro.org. It's ANHC-exec if you want to go straight to that page. But if you go to ANHCPro.org and go to the membership page, that is on there, and it gives you all the details of the membership. I just put the link in there. I always suggest, especially if you just met us through this webinar, I suggest that you reach out. That's why I've been saying contact us at anhcpro.org. Let me talk to you, make sure that this is investment that you want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting. But if you say, hey, this is it, this is what I want, ANHCPro.org, ANHC-exec, that's the place to go. There's the link there. If you like a little white glove service before you sign up, then just reach out and contact us at ANHCPro.org.